So we got a 97 Civic and we got a battery light right there, and we're gonna check that baby out. Okay, I come to see the alternator. Ah, come on, everything's on the way. The alternator down there has no belt. Alternator is seized. The belt broke off, and you can see all these black particles of the belt everywhere. So the belt, there's a piece of the belt right there. So customer wants a complete job. We're gonna do belts. We're gonna do the idler pulley for the AC belt, power steering belt, alternator belt, and we're gonna replace the alternator, which is not gonna be fun. And he decided to do the timing belt, and he decided to do the water pump, and it's gonna be a complete job. Let's get this baby going. All right, so what we're gonna do is first, okay, we can see the belt in here. That's the alternator belt. Look at this, stuck. All right, so let's take off the power steering pump. What I wanna do is I wanna take this pump and just put it to the side. We're gonna take out these right here, and to take off this cover, we're gonna have to loosen the valve cover up, and this should slip out. Then we'll work on the bottom. We'll take off the pulley and the tensioner for the AC belt, and we'll take off the bottom cover. The other belt is broken, and at the end we'll change that alternator. But prior to that, I want to change the timing, seals, and the water pump. So let's start off by taking off this 12 here. Okay, so this thing works like a tensioner itself. So you would put a 1/2 inch pry bar in there, breaker bar, and pull on the alternator. And there's a second bolt down here, 12mm also. And I'm gonna take off this ground from right here. Throw that out of the way. You see how the belt became loose? Just like that. Anyways, I'm gonna take both of these off, and then we'll come back and pull the pump out. Okay, so this baby is 25 plus years old. By the time you guys watch, it might be older than that, but there's my 10mm for the ground. Very important you put that back. But I got the 2 bolts from the power steering. I like to keep things in order. Let's push these to the side and don't lose order of anything. So the belt should just come off just like that, and once the belt come off, you pump. And what you want to do is you want to pull out this reservoir bottle here also, okay, and the power steering pump and the bottle, everything is going to give you more room not to work. You're going to have one cable going that way, but you should be able to move this thing around to work here, and also to work on the timing here. Anyways, what I want to do next is I want to pull this. Sometimes these will break, so the tip of it will break because it's seized up, but these come out pretty smooth. Try to keep them in order. The length will tell you the order. If you mess up the order, you might have to go onto the computer to figure out the order, which I always can do. So this can sit there. So we're free of losing this up any moment we like. Even if you want now, we could just loosen up these. So like I said, all I need to do is loosen up. That I'm gonna have to figure out. This little guy is on the way. And let's see, there you go. There you go. That one might be jammed up. So I'll loosen that one up by hand. So make sure you don't lose any of these. A lot of times you will leave them on and they will just fall down. They're bigger, longer, and shorter. The back ones are longer. This one is shorter. And this one might be short, yep. And this one is stuck. I'll get to that. And there's none other. So what I want to do here is we do need to get the dipstick out of the way because the 10mm is right there. So just pull out the dipstick, put this baby to the side somewhere, and you should be able to get to that 10mm there, 10mm right there, and this cover will come out as long as you lift this. Okay, so now what we got here is 10mm here, short socket, same thing back here. If you notice what I did with the power steering pump, it says right there, it gives me a lot of space. And I'm gonna get this off. So I'm gonna get both of these bolts off, and then we should be able to get this cover out of the way. Okay, so I got both bolts out. 1, 2, they're sitting over here, and I took off this last bolt from here. So what you want to do now is you want to just yank this cover. The tubings will come out, but this will let
the timing cover go here. So what we're gonna do here is, you don't need to go crazy with this. So this thing needs to come up straight. Our valve cover here needs to probably, I'm not gonna take it off completely because this is all the space we're gonna need, unless there's any other bolt. Okay, I don't see any other bolts holding this baby together. It just might be jammed up a bit. Okay. Sometimes things just doesn't go your way. There's nothing holding this up. Okay, there you go. It has come apart. Alrighty, there you go. And okay, something is keeping us. Okay, so this thing is like a letter. It's like a letter of teeth there that's behind that cover, so it's got to come forward, and this baby just comes right out. Look at this timing. Look at this timing. So this timing's probably been there for a long, long time, unless somebody changed it, but not that we know of. So we're gonna replace it, and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna keep it going. Okay, this does look like it's been changed, but I cannot tell. Okay, nope, it's original. It says Honda right there. It says Honda in there, so this is original. This timing belt is original. It still looked in good condition, so the car already has about 90,000 miles on it, 70 some 80,000 miles. But anyways, we're gonna take off this little guy right here, the 14 millimeter, and then we're gonna turn this to release this belt, and then I am gonna completely take off this tensioner housing. So there's a 12 millimeter, and there might be another bolt in the bottom. So we got a 14 millimeter wrench on this baby, and what we're gonna do is, oh my leg got magnetic, and we're gonna turn this counterclockwise. Just don't hurt yourself. This thing is not gonna be easy, and it's been there for years. And a couple of threads. Okay, a couple of threads, and then this little guy. Whoa, camera's falling. Right there you go. Camera has fallen. Hey there, little guy. I'm sorry about that. Camera fell. The pump just turned down a bit, and it hit that. So I'm just trying to turn a few more turns so we can have enough free play in this baby. And then we can put the 10 millimeter and turn this baby. And you might want to throw some W40 or penetrating oil right there. So let me get that. There's our 440. W440. This little guy is gonna get a little bit of lube right there. Right on that center bolt. Anyways, now we can turn this baby. Okay, next we got ourselves a 10 millimeter here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this baby. There you go. You see that tensioner go down? Whoa, yeah. Let's see how far I can go. So I can maneuver this around, and then I should be able to get these bolts off as well, because the timing cover is not gonna come out unless you take off all that. So this belt is not gonna come out completely, because the bottom lower mount on the side mount there is gonna be on the way, but we're still gonna drop this guy, this belt, just like that. It feels great to work on this baby. Anyways, I might take off this completely. Let's take off this center bolt, because we are replacing this pulley. You do not want to lose that bolt if there's any washers or anything in it. Okay, there you go. If there's any washers, make sure you keep them in order. One washer fell down from the front of it. And there's our pulley right here. It does have this little guy in the center. So we did drop a washer down here. We're gonna look for that. I did feel something there. So this guy goes like that, and this is in the front of it, and there's a washer there. There's something there that I dropped. So I'm gonna keep this in order, just like that. I'm gonna put it to the side. I do need to find that other part. Okay. This belt will come out. The outside belt will come out. That's the first belt. So where did we drop? I'm gonna have to find that little guy, whatever I dropped. But right now, what I can do right now is I can take off the 12 here. I'll take it off from the bottom. I'll take off the 12 top here, and then I'll take the one from the bottom Gonna get my gear wrench that I had here. I just had it here, right here. Here you go. So this is a 12 millimeter right here. So let's take off this right now. And then it'll be easy for me to work on the bottom to get the bottom piece out. To get the belt out, we are gonna have to pull floor jack and get this mount off. So we can get the belt is like running right through the center. And a lot of people, they like to turn their engine block and top dead center everything, and we're gonna do the same thing. So what we're gonna do is, let me put this here. So what we're gonna do here is, if you look, there's some marking on there. We're gonna bring everything to top dead center, and we're gonna bring this up. I think it's almost there. Is it? Nope, because it's not on the first cylinder. It's not on cylinder 1. So we're gonna turn this baby and bring everything to this proper spot. Okay, so what we did here was we took off the two 10 millimeter bolts right there. This cover comes off, and we got a 17 millimeter there on the crank harmonic balancer bolt. This baby long extension with the ratchet in the back. I'm gonna turn this baby to 12V, center this guy out. So I'm gonna keep an eye from up here. I'm gonna put my camera right here so the camera can see, and we can all see together what's going on down there and how it's looking. So let me just set up my camera right here, and let me just get this out of the way so we can completely see it. That looks really good right there. Okay, do my shadow, and you can hold the camera here. Okay, there you go. It looks good there. So as I turn, I'm gonna keep eye. Okay, we was right there. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. We was right there. So there's no feel, doesn't feel like any compression. So we might have to move around a bit, but perfect. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit forward. Right there, that looks good. And everything is centered out, okay? Everything is freaking centered out. So we was right there, we didn't have to turn much. You see there's an up sign here on this pulley here. It's hard to see, but there's a sign here that says up, right on this pulley right there. Right there says up, so that has to be up. Now I'll show you the markings on the computer. And there's a notch here that aligns with the head here, lines here, but this is perfect. We're top dead center, and it's a go-go. So we're gonna go down in the bottom, start taking off the mount and everything, and we'll just continue the job just like that. So anyways, let's go in the bottom. Okay guys, so first thing first, we're gonna knock out, let me get my impact gun. We're gonna knock out the center bolt. Remember, all of this belt broke, so all the belts are off. This belt looked like crappy, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put. Sometimes these won't come off, so you gotta get that big tool. It's like it goes in the center, and then you put a breaker bar right in the middle, and that baby will come off. But let's move the lighting here because you can't see crap with that type of lighting, and that's crappy too. But it's something. So I like to put my hand on this so it doesn't move. I pre-loosen this. Not need to use any tool, but check this out. This baby comes out, and once this baby come out, put it somewhere safe. This is not gonna come out yet, but there's our. We'll do a video on this stuff. Talk about belts. This guy should come off. Sometimes this won't come out, so you might have to get a slide hammer or something. And there's a key in there. Okay, make sure you do not lose that key. There's our harmonic balancer. Let's put this baby to the side. Now what I want to do is, there's two 14 millimeters and a 17, 19, whatever this is. I think this is a 17 or a 19. Okay, this is a 19. I want to get this mount out of the way. If that mount looks bad, just replace it. If it looks good, like this one doesn't look so bad, but I might change that guy. But I might leave it alone for now because that's like a 10-minute job. Okay, it's spinning from the back. It's spinning from the back. So what I'll do here is, simply disaster here. So this will usually spin from the back end. Let's see what's spinning. Okay, the whole key from the back is spinning. Okay, I didn't want that. So you know what? Let me get the 14 here. Okay, rusted, completely rusted. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. But what I'm gonna do here is, I do not like this. I do not like this. Oh, I have my hand fingers. I'm gonna figure that out, but right now at least we can get the belt off. Never came across something like that. These always come off, but look at this. This is seized in. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep it working. This is not gonna stop me from working. So it's a 12 millimeter there. There's a 12 millimeter on this little guy. See, that's a 12 we're gonna take off, and that whole mechanism for the tensioner would come off, and then we'll take off the 10 millimeter. Look, this 10 millimeter is corroded here, and we'll get the cover off. So once I get everything off, we're gonna come back and take a look. Okay, so this baby didn't come off. I did take off this bolt, so I'm gonna try to manage the other one, but that's at the end. We're gonna be replacing this alternator. It'd be a good idea to change that, take off this bracket and change that now. It will come down. So we took off this bolt, it was corroded. I had to put a 9 millimeter. We got this. We're gonna pop up with this dipstick. There's a bolt right behind it, and then I'm gonna go up and see if there's any more bolts. I think that's all of it. So I'm up from the top. So this dipstick does have a small little bracket there that you have to like a little retainer here. Boop, pop that open and pull up this dipstick, wiggle it around, move it around, yank it. If you need to tap it with the hammer a little bit, you can do that. But that should be it. And then the bolt is right here that I was looking at, and I think there's one in the bottom as well, but we can get this bolt off from right here. And there's one over here too, so there's 2 more bolts. One from over here, right there, right there. So I'm gonna get those off. Okay, so I'll push that little retainer out. I did take off the 10 millimeter there, but I cannot get behind this one. So this dipstick has to come out. Oh, there was wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Don't go crazy with it, and do inspect the seal in the bottom. And it's coming, it's coming. There you go. Sometimes if you got too much oil in there, it would just overflow. But that seal doesn't look so good. But I'll see if I have one, and I'll put that on. Anyways, let's put this baby to the side. Remember, when you take over your water pump and antifreeze is gonna fall down, make sure if it goes in that hole, you're gonna have to drain out that oil too. So we'll just do the oil change anyway. If it looks dirty, if anything, we'll just put the dipstick in and cover it up. Okay, so let's see if I can get this on. And I got the perfect angle. The camera can see, but I can't see. Everything I see is what the camera sees. Ah, come on. Now you gotta find the perfect spot. There you go. Loosen this baby up, and this is pretty easy to do because usually timings are really rough. The bolt after so many years, but this car is not that aged out. I mean, it is aged out, but it doesn't have a crazy amount of miles. Like, it's not burnt out. And original timing belt on it. So I'm gonna get this bolt off, and then the cover should come down. We'll go down in the bottom and remove the cover together. Shouldn't be any technical difficulties there. Okay, it's a matter of this bolt. Cover my light caught the magnetic. I hate this light so much. I mean, I don't hate the light. It's just that when I'm working like this, I'm holding the camera and the light. It just grips on to any metal. There you go. You see the impact? Push this to the back. I did loosen this. I'm not even going to take this off. Don't need to. And let's see if there's any more bolts. If there's any more bolts, it's going to bother me, but I don't feel anything. And I don't see why it doesn't want to come out. Okay, there's one more down here. So definitely going to have to take this guy off. Let's take this off. It's loose already. 12 millimeter on the top. There's 12 millimeter in the bottom. This whole mechanism right here is going to come off. And probably just going to drop just like that. Let me see if I could grab it with this bolt there. It's coming down. Okay. Remember that washer I dropped in earlier? I found that on the floor. So make sure you pick that up. Let's go take a look at that washer. So we're going to put this whole thing here. So there's a 12 millimeter here. There's a 12 millimeter that goes right through here. And this was the washer, okay? This washer was right here in the center. The other way around, it's the same thing, and this bolt goes on top. Okay, now I'm gonna take off that last bolt and then we'll continue. Okay, we got that last bolt out, and hopefully there's nothing holding this now. See, this is moving, but there's still something. It's like non-ending bolts. Okay, there's nothing that's holding this baby anymore, so maybe we need to start doing it from the bottom. So let me jack up this vehicle. Okay, after doing this car after so many years, there's one more bolt. There's one more head and bolt right there. Okay, so everything got out. Used to be really good at this thing, but I guess it is what it is. So that'll be the last bolt. You see this drop of oil? That oil gotta be fixed as well. Okay, we're gonna fix that baby. We're gonna replace the crank seal. So we got that last bolt, and don't tell me there's anything. There shouldn't be anything on this guy. Let's pop this guy. So it's gonna try to come at us, and there's the cover. This little seal stayed behind, so we're just gonna peel it. Gonna just peel it, and it comes down with it. We're gonna leave this baby to the side. Gonna clean up my hands, and but take a look at this. There's your crank sensor. There's your tensioner. So remember, this belt is not crazy tight. It doesn't gotta be crazy tight. It'll make a humming sound. Anyway, you have to go anyway. Look at that. So that's that. There's our water pump. There's nothing to line here but your crank and cam on the top. There should be an arrow. I'll show you the timing mark. But if you do need to replace a crank sensor, you're gonna take off. You're gonna have to do this whole thing. Take off this number 10 and pull this off, and there's a connector up on the top, and that's how simple that should be. And anyways, this sprocket has okay, this little key here. You do not want to lose this key. Let's put this somewhere safe right there, because if you lose that, you're gonna have to buy another set of keys. There might be another key, or this pulley is a part of it, but this is all one piece. Anyways, I'm gonna make sure my timing is correct, and we're gonna take off this belt by loosening this 14 millimeter right here, and that should then we should be able to pull this baby down. Anyways, let's get things going, and let's see how this goes. Can lose, meaning by break, we just loosen the grip up, and now we're doing it by hand. So we're gonna get this crank sensor out of the way first. Okay, the crank sensor cannot be wrong. The clearance is gonna be the only clearance that you're gonna be able to put there, because due to this little notch in the back that sits there, but we're gonna pull out this sensor. We're gonna just let it sit right there, and this baby can sit right there. And we're gonna keep this in mind that this is a 10 millimeter bolt for this little guy. We'll put it right there. I'll put this bolt on because my timing mark seems to be a bit off, so I'm gonna line it, and then we're gonna pop this loose. So my timing mark was a bit off. I turned it, and now I gotta take off this bolt. The problem is every time you try to take off, it's gonna try to move. So try to hold the sprocket and turn it off and get that off, but make sure the timing is at the proper place. It's so easy to turn, you can probably just turn it by hand. Anyways, we're not gonna do that now, so I'm gonna take off that bolt, and we will continue. Okay, so we're looking good. What we're gonna do next is this 14 millimeter bolt right here. We're gonna turn it counterclockwise and make sure you get a good grip of it, because you do not want to mess with this little guy. Okay, once it's loose enough, we should be able to pull this guy down. You see that? And once you pull it down, lock up this bolt, and that should release your tension, like just like that. You see that? And spring loaded is all the tension usually I give this guy, and I'm gonna lie, once I lock this bolt, this will stay there. So we're gonna leave this alone for now. I'm gonna get this off. You're not gonna see that part because I need both of my hands. So pretty much pull this down, lock up this bolt, and get your belt off, or you can simply just get your belt off right now. But we're gonna remove this whole thing anyway, so I'll get that off. That's exactly what I did there. So watch this. Cha-ching, the belt comes off. Very simple and easy, but remember, that bracket, the engine mount is on our way. So that's gonna be an issue, and we'll leave that alone because we're gonna work on everything. This little guy will come out, and it has its own key right there. So that's how this baby comes off. Very simple, and it can only go in one spot, okay? Right there, that's the only spot it can go. And you got this little guy in the back, and we got a crank seal in the back, so we're gonna be replacing that as well. So let's get this guy off. So this guy can free play anywhere it like, it doesn't matter. It does not have a place for it to stay. It's just a spacer, and it just keeps everything in spot. And I don't think our crank seal was leaking. This could be clearly sign that our oil pan was leaking. But that'd be another job because the muffler gotta come off. But at least when we're in here, we are gonna replace the seal. The seal is very simple to take out and put in. Anyways, save this guy. So make sure you put it back in the same way. Remember, it can be wrong. So this goes in just like that. So what I want to do is I want this tensioner out of my way. I don't want nothing to do with this tensioner. Meanwhile, we're working on our water pump. So we do need that room. And remember that big bolt on the alternator right there? Got to come off with the water pump. So make sure you take that off. And this baby should simply just come off just like that. And then we'll jack up the engine, remove the engine mount, and get that belt out of there and drop in the new belt. So this guy is going to come off just like that. I'm gonna just grab everything and I'm gonna keep everything in order just like that. And this all can sit just like that, okay? It's gonna stay just like that. And that's how easy and clean it looks. Original Honda water pump. I could see a little bit of leak right there. But anyways, the belt we're gonna get from the top. But meanwhile, let's go up on the top and I'm gonna take off that bolt and I'm gonna take off the alternator bolt. The alternator, I'm not gonna be able to get that guy out without this axle, so that'd be another job there. Bada bing, bada boom, I'm gonna be screwed there. Anyways, I'll do that later on. And what we're gonna do next is we're gonna disconnect the battery as well, and let's go on the top and put a floor jack in the bottom. So we did get the alternator, big bolt there. The 12 is loose on the other side. I did get the connector and everything off of the alternator. I will show you that guys later. But let's push this belt out of the way. I did take out one of the bolts from this little guy up here. But we got 1 bolt, 2 bolt, 3 bolts left. And I'm gonna show you guys the pump here. So I bought me a complete kit here. Part number on this guy. Let's see, there's a part number here. Okay, I don't see a part number. Okay, I don't see a part number. Come on, I don't see a part number. Oh, okay, there you go. There's some numbers right there if you guys want. So it comes everything complete. The pump, remember I took out 1 bolt. As I take the bolts off, I like to put my bolts together just the way they are. Comes with the tensioner, belt, and everything is in there. This little guy, the tensioner is in there. It's pretty much a kit. Everything that has to be changed in there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue doing the job, and I'm gonna remove the rest of the bolts. And as I take them off, I'm gonna put each one bolt here as we go. We got a bolt up there. I like to take off the harder ones first, and once the harder ones are off, the rest just are easy to take off. And this guy will come off, and then we'll let the water pump just drain itself slowly. We'll loosen up the last bolt a tiny bit. Okay, this bolt is kind of stiff in there. Come on, little guy. Don't make me get stuck in there. So there's another bolt. So what I want to do here is I took this bolt off, like right there. So sometimes the bolts are bigger. I haven't done this job in years, probably. I'm talking about like 6 years probably. Haven't had one of these Hondas since the new ones took over everything. Anyways, what I want to do here is I'm gonna loosen this, and I'm gonna loosen this a bit. So this pump survived 25 years. The belt didn't look so good. And what we're gonna do here is, once we remove this, not remove completely, we're gonna loosen this, and we're gonna loosen this. We should be able to wiggle this pump a bit, and let's see if there's any more bolts. It does have a little notch there that sits in there. There's a notch in here, and okay, so we only got 4 bolts. That's about right. A flathead screwdriver should help us here. So up there's the water pump. It started to drip. Remember, you could drain your antifreeze, but it's probably not gonna help you unless you drain it from the block end. But there's our water pump. It started to drip. So we're gonna have to let the antifreeze out slowly and easily, just like that. We're gonna give it a good half an hour to drain out, and then we'll be back and continue this job. There's all the bolts are out, And this pump still has a little bit of antifreeze in it, but here goes nothing. There's your pump. So 4 bolts. Keep them in order. That's the only thing I can tell you. This pump still hasn't leaked, so this car's been babied. But usually you will see signs of this water pump will leak from the... I did see a small amount of leak, but it will usually leak out from right here, from the support here. But there you go. There's the pump out on this Civic. 25 years later, this baby will still good. That's what you call a Honda. Not the new Hondas, the older model Hondas. Anyways, we're going to put in a new pump. We got all the bolts together. Let's see how it goes. So, it'd be always a good idea to scrape all the stuff and clean this housing of the water pump here. This thing is so clean, we can eat off this little guy. And usually I use a scraper, but this thing is so shiny, it's better than brand new. I guess they should build the car first and then think about everything else. Anyways, there you go. This baby is nice and clean, and there's nothing to inspect there. And we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna do the crank seal. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this old water pump. We're gonna take the bolts of this little guy and start putting them on this little guy, because we want to keep things in order. That's just how I am. Even if the bolt is not looking bad or good, I'll still want to do it that way. We're going to take one of the bolts. I'm going to take it with me. Oh, don't forget the seal. So let's put this baby back in. We do need to rip the rest of the housing here. So there's a seal in here. There you go. The seal doesn't need any type of seal or anything like that. This is a perfect seal. What happened here? Okay, this thing just goes and sits only one way, okay? If you tried it the wrong way, it's not gonna fit. And I don't think there's a wrong way unless you just flip it around. But make sure it just sits flush. And only thing I would be afraid of you doing it wrong is when you put this up, make sure the seal is actually there. A lot of people would put on the pump and the seal just falls out. So I'm assuming this is where this is. Or is it? Okay, nope. I'm on the wrong spot. So this thing goes right here. So what I want to do is, since I got a camera in my hand, I want to put the pump in and the seal at the same time. But what I'll do is I'm going to put the pump away, I'm going to put the camera away. I'm going to put the pump in and align everything and get this baby in there, and then I'll show you. Okay, so I got all the bolts in that pump except this last one right here. And after that, make sure you tighten the bolts. I'm going to give you guys specs at the end of the video. And I'm going to tighten this, and I'm going to come back. I will give you torque specs on this baby. I will give you torque specs on everything. You won't see it in the video, but at the end, you will see everything that's there. So torque spec for this, torque spec for this, torque spec this, torque spec for everything. Stumps like this, I do not torque, like the bolts here for the alternator and stuff. But that one will get torqued. Everything will get torqued, and we'll come back. Our pump is in at least. Okay, so we got ourselves a crank seal that needs replacing, and we bought a new crank seal right here. This baby's gonna go there. A job like this can go south or west, or it can go to South Main Auto. And what I like to use is this little guy, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, this one is not gonna work. So what I want to do here is I'm gonna tap it with the hammer bit, get it in there, and if that doesn't work, then a screwdriver all the way. And we do not want to damage the housing or anything like that. But sometimes this will work, sometimes it won't work. So try not to go all the way deep in. But once it's in there, what you want to do is you want to just pull it. And if it doesn't come out, if it doesn't come out, it doesn't come out. There's nothing you could do there. And maybe grab it with the plier and pull it. Usually a pick would be a good idea. A pick works for me all the time. But I just wanted to try this. Okay, that didn't work so good. So pick. It is, okay. There's so many different ways people do this. A lot of people destroy things. I just like to take my time. And come out just like that. Okay. So only thing you don't want to do is you don't want to go too far deep in there and damage anything. You see, it's hollow inside. There's a pump behind there, or some type of mechanism is back there. So there's our old seal. So to put in a new seal, you should not have to work so hard. Okay, make sure the surface is nice and clean. And what I want to do is I want to clean my hands up. I'm gonna clean my hands up. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on the seal. So I got me a Mobile One oil. And what I want to do here is, just want to take this Mobile One oil and just a few drops is fine. Rub it all around on the seal. So it does have like a little spring in there, so make sure that's there. And then after that, this thing will just go in there. You shouldn't need any tools, okay? Just make sure you don't get your glove caught in there like that. Make sure, because if it's in there, then you're going to have to redo the whole thing. And make sure it's nice and flush, because you don't want the other stuff to rub on top and destroy the seal. Bada bing, bada boom. We're done with that seal. Okay, let's wipe this baby off. And sometimes you can put something that's same size of this. Even the old seal, you can put the old seal there, because now you can't push it any further. And just push it in so it's nice and flush, and that's good enough. So next, we're gonna put a floor jack and get the timing belt in, and then we'll put the tensioner in. Okay, so we got our floor jack, as you can see right there on the oil pan, and our jack is lifted up. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take off, I did take off these 3 bolts of this cruise control system here. So 1, 2, 3 bolts, 10 millimeters, they come off. Okay, what the hell is this? I tried 17 didn't work. Then I put on the 19, and now I'm trying to figure out, it's a 17. Wow. Thank you so much. Sometimes rusted bolts will confuse you. So 1, 2. I don't want to lose my bolts there. So pretty much all the weight went on our jack. So I am going to take off all 3 bolts, the nuts, and this one over here, because I don't think that whole system right there, the whole mount and everything is going to go down. Let's give it a try. You never know, okay? You never know that you can get away with those twists. It's been years I haven't touched this type of job. So if it gives me like an inch clearance, half an inch, quarter inch, I could slip that belt right through. So I'm just trying to turn this jack without destroying anything. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop there. Okay, we might get away with this. Okay, we might get away, we might not get away with it. We're not gonna get away with it. We're not gonna get away with it. So we are gonna take off that 3rd bolt. Once that's out, we should be able to slip this belt in and out. And after that, the tensioner and the timing will go on. Let me get that last bolt off, and we'll continue. Check, you know, it takes me a few seconds just to take off that bolt, and now we should be able to get this guy out of there. So the timing belt does not have a way indication which way it goes in and out. So what I like to do is, like, sometimes we'll have an arrow face out that you would have to face out, but this timing does not clearly. Okay, and what I like to do here is, let's grab our old timing, our new timing. See if there's any marks. Other than that, what I like to do here is, because there's no right and wrong, so what I like to do here is, the numbers would read that way, so it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna just throw it in any direction. So this goes in, and we're gonna leave this right there so we don't damage the belt. So what I want to do is I'm gonna put this back together, and we're gonna get rid of our floor jack. So let's pump the floor jack, so we no longer need the help of the floor jack once this is nice and tight. And guys, so far we're looking good. So now what I want to do is next, I want to get the belt and everything off, and then I will show you the lining the belt is very critical. So make sure you double check it. And after that, I like to turn it to see if all the markings and components, everything came back to the spot. And I'm going to tighten these up, and then we're going to continue in a bit. So we got our new tensioner in. Make sure this thing goes in right there in that little Allen. Spring loaded, and the bolt is tight. It's holding it loose right now. The tensioner is loose. So once you put the belt on, it will release this and it will pull on the belt. Okay. So I already confirmed the top marking. Remember this little guy. Remember, you can put it the wrong way. Okay. So this little guy went in a direction like this. So that's the same way we're going to put it. Okay. And that sits like that. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our pulley and put that on. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this little guy. You can pay attention to the markings, and that's one way to determine which way it goes. But it's pretty much like an oval that way, so the belt can just come this way, and this side will push the belt that way. So this thing just free plays there, that's fine. And next, what we want to do is you want to take your pulley here. You want to put this baby in just like that. And this thing goes in just like that. And what we're gonna do is I do want to make sure my timing mark is perfectly evened out. So I'm gonna show you all these markings later on my computer, but you see that little arrow right there? It's so bright. You see that little arrow? It has to match directly. If you look straight at it, it has to match this little guy right there. If I hold my camera perfectly straight right there, perfect. The top is evened out. Anyways, let's put this belt on. Once I have this belt on, we're gonna release the tensioner together. Okay, so got everything on. I accidentally ended up removing this tensioner, so the tensioner is on, and your belt shouldn't be too stiff. You should be able to do this to it, and if it's too tight, it's gonna make like there's something like a bad bearing is running. So this is pretty good. Everything's good. This is tight. Our timing is good. I use this down here to keep the belt from slipping out. We still need to put the crank sensor in. So we just want to double check everything up here. It looks good. Perfect. There you go. Belt has no slack, and usually I put a strap tie here on this so it holds your belt in place. And the bottom I use a cardboard. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna send this baby down. Do not damage this little guy, and just gently send him down. And he has his own routing, and that baby's in. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the cover on, and then we're gonna crank up and see if the vehicle starts. If it does start, we're good to go. But remember, I do have my alternator and everything loose here, so make sure nothing gets short-circuited, since I was gonna replace that. Anyways, let me continue it a bit. We're gonna put the sensor in. So before we put our sensor in, I just want to make sure everything is good. Tensioner is nice and locked in. Belt is good. Everything looks good. So let's put in our sensor. The sensor goes in just like that. So it's only one way. Remember this little guy? You stick this in, so the sensor has a little notch there. And remember, we put the bolt away for this guy right there. And just remember your bolts. Keep them in order if you need to, but 10 millimeter right here. So if this sensor fails, your car will not start. So if you got a Civic and you got a code for this, and you're gonna be doing all this. Anyways, I'm gonna lock up this bolt just like that, and nothing crazy, just by hand. Bada bing, bada boom. Make sure the harness is out of the way, nothing's gonna hit, and it has just enough clearance. Okay, so I turned this about 4 times, inject that out, up, and bottom notch. You're not gonna see it from here, but there you go. It's in there. It's right on the money. Perfect and perfect. Double check your tension. So the belt can't be just crazy tight, like I said, because it will make some type of bearing noise. Anyways, we're gonna put everything back together, and we're gonna leave the belt off, and we're gonna crack the engine. That's the only way to test it, or you can put everything back together from the top and test it, but I'd rather just put it, because I know I confirmed it. I turned it about 4 times, no walls, no nothing here. My belt is nice and tight. Everything stayed there, and it's confirmed. That's it. Got the valve cover on, got the ignition coil cables in, got the belt in there, and there's the adjuster, just like we took it apart. This one you gotta put in a 1/4 inch, half inch drive pry bar. I'm sorry, I keep saying pry bar, breaker bar. Pull on it. it's gonna pull up on it. And then even to get the belt off, you gotta pull down on it because this pump doesn't, this lines and stuff doesn't let it go down a bit. So it might give you a hard time to get the belt on. So do that properly. Tighten that up, lock this up as you just to tighten the belt. So these belts are not crazy tight, so they will wear out, and I might want to end up adjusting at one time. This is a friend of mine, he lives around the block. So him driving around for a few days, these belts are gonna stretch out. So I did fill up the antifreeze, use the good old, what is this, Peak, right here's what I used, good stuff. And topped it off, locked up the cap, filled this up. Now I'm gonna let it run for 20 minutes. And a moment of truth, let's crank this baby up. Already tested, to be honest with you guys. And starts out pretty good. And there you go. Just the way he brought it into me, same way it goes out. And since we changed the alternator, no more battery light. Thank you for watching my video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Stay tuned for more videos.